Have you ever been in a social situation where you don't quite feel like you fit in and you try by dressing a certain way or saying certain things that you might not otherwise say, or maybe you have a new job and you feel like you're trying to walk the walk but you don't know how to talk the talk yet? These things cause inauthenticity fatigue, wearing masks that you're not comfortable with, and it can be emotionally draining. I've been practicing for over 20 years, and I would say hands down the number one symptom that I have seen in over 95% of my patients is fatigue. There are so many different kinds of fatigue, and inauthenticity fatigue is one of them, and it's not something that you can fix with a pill. So this video is going to give you a couple of ways to help figure out if you're doing it and how to remedy it. So what really is inauthenticity fatigue? It's fatigue that is created by cognitive dissonance, where you are trying to be something you're not, saying, accepting things that you're angry about and just doing them anyway, saying yes to things you want to say no to. And the best way to recognize whether you've got this going on is to pay attention to when you feel irritated or angry. That feeling is a sign that your boundaries are being crossed. And that's a sign for a time for you to say no. Another way to identify if you've got inauthenticity fatigue going on is if you go into certain environments and feel like you have trying to figure out how to be in those situations because somehow you don't feel at home or you don't feel at peace with yourself when you're outside of your comfort zone. And it's not to say that you have to get out of that environment, but if you can recognize what you're doing and come back and to your center and say, okay, if I were being myself right now, what would I be doing or saying? Even though that may not align with what you think is going on, it's okay. People are going to enjoy your company more. You're going to feel better about yourself if you're just being yourself. Boundaries are a good way of eliminating inauthenticity fatigue. So being really clear with what you will accept and not accept. And again, using that feeling of frustration or irritation or anger as a sign for when you need to create a clear boundary. And if you know when those feelings might arise, you can plan out the boundary that you'll have so that it doesn't have to happen. And so that you don't get drained by doing, being, or saying things that's not in your authentic self repertoire. Last thing I would say is this idea of saying no is, I think, incredibly challenging for a lot of people. I will say that I have been a yes girl a lot of my life, and in different situations I will say yes when I really want to say no. And I have realized over the years that the more I say no when I want to say no, the better I feel about my decision, and I'm okay if someone's angry at me sometimes. Another thing outside of just saying no is looking for the things that really light you up. One of the things that I discovered, and then you're truly yourself when you're in these situations, I started volunteering to coach a couple years ago, and I realized that it's been one of the most gratifying things I've ever done. And I'm truly in my element and truly myself, and I feel totally energized when I do this kind of thing. So you want to pay attention to the times in your life when you felt the most excited or the most on fire or the most passionate about something, and seek those things out more. And you will be on your way to being totally energetic and dumping that inauthenticity fatigue out the window.